All right, so are you ready for another deep dive?
Always.
Okay, good, because you guys have really stacked the deck this time.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we've got articles, reviews, even quizzes all about Squid Game Season 2.
Wow.
Yeah, you clearly want to know the real deal. Like, does it live up to the hype?
Right.
So is Season 2 worth watching? Does it recapture that lightning in a bottle from Season 1? And what's in store for the final season? Well, we're going to unpack all of that and more in this deep dive.
Sounds like a lot to cover.
It is. But we're up for the challenge, right?
Absolutely.
Okay, so let's start with the elephant in the room.
Okay.
Season 1 of Squid Game was Netflix's most watched show ever.
Yeah, that's a tough act to follow.
For real, how do you even top that? It's going to create a ton of pressure for the creators, right?
Yeah, for sure. It's a double-edged sword. You have this massive built-in audience, but their expectations are through the roof.
Totally. And the review scores you sent definitely reflect that challenge. We're looking at 86% from critics, which is down from 95% for Season 1. And the audience score is even lower at 64%.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it seems like a pretty steep drop.
It does, but the article we have here makes a good point.
Okay, tell me there's more to this story.
There is. Season 2 is shorter than the first season.
Oh, really?
Yeah, just 7 episodes compared to 9.
Huh, okay.
And plus, replicating that initial viral explosion, that lightning in a bottle, is almost impossible.
That's true.
It's not necessarily a sign of declining quality.
Yeah.
It's more about context and maybe impossible expectations.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
So the reviews might be a bit lower, but the article still says the storytelling is strong.
Oh, definitely.
Okay, so spill the tea. What's got everyone talking?
This season really dives into Gil-hun's journey.
Yeah.
He's gone from just trying to survive the games to actively trying to bring them down.
Whoa, that's a huge shift.
Right.
He's basically going up against the whole system.
He is. And it's especially intense now that we know the frontman is player 001.
Ugh, don't remind me. Talk about a betrayal.
Right. Someone Gi-hun connected with, someone he thought was innocent, is now his biggest adversary.
It's like the show is asking if anyone can truly escape the game's influence even after they win.
Exactly.
Okay, so to be clear, it ends on a cliffhanger.
Oh yeah, big time.
Kia, I hate cliffhangers.
It leaves a lot of plot lines unresolved.
So they intentionally designed it to propel us into Season 3.
They did, which makes sense considering Season 3 is the final chapter.
Wow, okay, so Seasons 2 and 3 are basically one continuous story.
Pretty much, but we can't forget about that post-credit scene.
Oh man, don't even get me started.
It's a doozy.
A new character, Chil-soo, and the creepy doll, Young-hee, together. Chills, literal chills.
This definitely sets a dark tone for what's to come.
Oh, for sure. And speaking of high stakes, we gotta talk about that 45.6 billion won prize.
It's a mind-boggling amount of money.
I mean, we're talking roughly 31.5 million US dollars.
Yeah, I can't even fathom winning that much.
Me neither, but one of the articles broke down its real-world implications.
Oh,
Yeah, apparently you could hire nearly 1,000 Korean workers for a whole year on that.
wow.
Or, think about it this way, that prize money would cover the average rental deposit for over 100 apartments in Seoul.
Seriously.
Yeah.
It really puts things into perspective.
It does, and it makes those death games feel even more real and terrifying.
For sure.
Okay, so let's shift gears for a second.
Oh.
We've talked about the plot, the stakes, but amidst all that darkness, we have to talk about the acting.
Oh yeah, the performances are phenomenal.
Even the reviews that critique the plot still praise the acting.
Absolutely.
What are your thoughts? Who really stood out to you?
Well, Lee and Jae as Gi-hun continues to be brilliant.
He's so good.
Right, you really feel that internal struggle he's going through.
Totally.
And of course, Lee Jung-hun as the frontman is just as chilling as ever.
Ugh, I still get chills thinking about him.
Yeah, but you know what? The surviving players from Season 2 also really stepped up their game this time around.
Like who?
Well, Kang Han-il's character, Dae-ho, really stood out to me.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
I'm excited to see how their characters develop in the final season, especially given all the twists and turns we've seen so far.
Me too. It makes you wonder what'll happen to them in Season 3, with Gi-hun on this mission to bring down the games.
For real. Okay, so it sounds like even though Season 2 might not be as shocking as the first, it still has a lot to offer.
It does. It dives deeper into the themes of power, betrayal, and what happens after winning such a life-altering sum of money.
Right.
There's more nuance, a more mature focus on the character's inner turmoil, you know?
Yeah, I get it.
It's interesting, one of the articles included a perspective from a teenage fan.
Oh, cool. What did they think?
Well, they loved seeing the world of Squid Game expand, but they also appreciated that season 2 kept those core elements that made the first season so gripping.
Yeah, that makes sense.
It shows how season 2 manages to appeal to a wide range of viewers, even those coming in with really high expectations.
I like that. So, to recap, we've talked about the critical reception, some of the major plot points, and even the mind-blowing prize money.
We have, but there's still so much more to unpack.
I know, right?
Should we dive back in?
Let's do it.
You know, one thing that really stood out to me about season 2 was how it builds on the social commentary from the first season.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, season 1 was such a powerful critique of wealth inequality and really made you think about the lengths people will go to for financial security.
Right.
So where does season 2 take that?
Well, it takes those themes a step further by really exploring the consequences of winning such a life-changing amount of money.
Oh, interesting.
Like, it's not just about escaping poverty anymore.
Right.
It's about what happens after you achieve that supposed dream.
Yeah, it's like that saying, be careful what you wish for, right?
Exactly.
Like suddenly 45.6 billion won isn't just a ticket to a better life,
Right.
but also this potential burden.
Absolutely. And the show doesn't shy away from showing the psychological toll that kind of wealth can take on a person.
Yeah, that makes sense.
We see it affecting Gi-hun's relationships, his sense of self, even his ability to trust other people.
Makes you wonder if anyone can truly come out of that experience unscathed.
Yeah.
Like winning the Squid Game might solve your financial problems, but at what cost?
That's the central question the show wants us to grapple with, you know?
Yeah.
It's making us think about the true value of things like human connection, empathy, integrity.
Right.
All those things that can get lost in a world where greed and survival are the priority.
Wow. That's deep. It's what makes Squid Game so much more than just a typical thriller.
Right.
It's got this social commentary woven in, and that's what sparks those real conversations.
Exactly. You hit the nail on the head.
Thanks.
I think that's why it continues to resonate with audiences around the world. It taps into those universal anxieties we have about economic disparity, about social mobility, and just feeling like the system is rigged against us.
Yeah, totally. So when we talk about the pressure on the creators to deliver a groundbreaking second season, it sounds like they actually achieved something pretty special.
They did.
It wasn't about replicating the viral success of the first season,
Right.
but about evolving the conversation, going deeper with the themes.
Exactly. And I think that speaks to their vision
Yeah.
and willingness to push boundaries. They could have easily just rehashed the first season and called it a day.
Totally.
But they took risks, they challenged themselves, and they challenged the audience.
And from what I'm gathering from these sources, it sounds like those risks paid off.
They did.
Even with some mixed reviews, there's a definite sense that season 2 holds its own
Definitely.
and offers a unique but equally compelling experience.
Absolutely. It might not be the exact same show as season 1, but it's still very much Squid Game at its core.
Right.
All the suspense, the intrigue, the thought-provoking questions about humanity, it's all there.
Okay, so let's bring this back to our listeners for a sec. They've clearly invested time and energy into understanding this show, so is season 2 worth adding to the watch list?
Absolutely. It's darker, more focused, and it sets the stage for what promises to be an epic conclusion in season 3.
Ooh, I like that.
Plus, it still delivers those heart-stopping moments that made the first season such a phenomenon, you know? So whether you're hooked on the games themselves or the social commentary or the performances, season 2 has something for everyone.
All right, you've convinced me. Time to fire up Netflix and get ready for another wild ride.
Before you do that, I want to leave you with a final thought-provoking question.
Okay, hit me.
Imagine you're Gi-hun facing those impossible odds.
Okay.
What would you prioritize? Dismantling the games completely or ensuring your own survival and the survival of your allies?
Ooh, that's a tough one.
Right. It's something to think about while you're watching.
Definitely no judgment if I need to rewatch season 1 first, just to refresh my memory.
Sometimes a rewatch helps, especially with a story as complex as Squid Game.
For real. So we've talked about the critical reception, those mind-blowing plot twists, the crazy prize money, and the deeper social commentary. But what really gets us hooked on a show like Squid Game, I think, is the human element.
You're so right.
Those moments that make you gasp, cheer, or hide behind a pillow.
And this article we have here really digs into what makes those performances so captivating.
Oh, cool.
It's like these actors aren't just playing characters.
Yeah.
They're embodying real human Emotions, desperation, cunning, those fleeting moments of hope.
It's true, you can have the best special effects in the world, but if the acting isn't there, the whole thing falls apart.
Exactly.
And Squid Game definitely doesn't have that problem. Even the more critical reviews, they still praise the performances.
They do.
And I think part of that is the contrast, right?
Yeah.
Between the familiar faces from season 1 and then the new characters we meet in season 2. It's like you're constantly guessing who to trust, who to root for,
Right.
and who might surprise you.
Exactly. And speaking of surprises, the review mentioned how some of the returning players really got a chance to shine in season 2.
Like who?
Well, Kang Han-il's character, Dae-ho, for example.
Oh yeah, he was great.
Right.
What can you tell us about their arcs without giving too much away?
Well, season 2 really lets those characters evolve beyond their initial roles.
Okay.
Like they have to confront their past choices, face new challenges, and ultimately decide what kind of people they want to be under pressure.
So even though the stakes are higher and the games are more intense, it sounds like season 2 still finds a way to show those moments of genuine human connection.
This.
Like even amidst the chaos and violence, there's still something worth fighting for.
Yeah. And those moments are often the most impactful
I agree.
because they come as a surprise, they catch you off guard,
Yeah.
and they remind you that even in the darkest of situations, hope and compassion can still exist.
That's such a good reminder for all of us, isn't it? No matter how tough things get, there's always that glimmer of light, a reason to keep pushing forward.
Absolutely. And sometimes the most unexpected sources of strength come from the people around us. The ones who choose to stand with us, fight for what's right, and remind us that we're not alone.
Beautifully said. And as we wrap up our deep dive into Squid Game Season 2, I think that's a perfect note to end on.
I agree, it speaks to the power of storytelling, right? To explore those depths of human nature,
Right.
both the good and the bad, and leave us with a sense of hope, even when things feel dark.
So to our listeners, thanks for joining us on this wild ride through Squid Game Season 2.
We hope you enjoyed it.
And if this deep dive has sparked your curiosity, we encourage you to check out the sources for yourselves.
Yeah, dive into those articles, revisit the reviews, and let us know what you think.
What resonated with you?
What questions are still swirling around in your mind?
We love to hear your perspective.
Thanks for joining us on this journey.
Until next time, keep exploring, keep questioning, and as always, happy watching.
You know, we've talked a lot about the big picture stuff,
Yeah.
the plot, the themes, but one thing that really elevates Squid Game is how it handles those smaller, more character-driven moments.
Oh, absolutely. The show doesn't shy away from the emotional weight of everything.
Right.
These aren't just games. They're life or death choices with real human consequences.
And that's where the acting really shines. Like one article you said specifically highlighted the performances of some of the supporting characters.
Oh, cool.
It's like they're not just background noise, you know,
Yeah.
they're fully realized individuals
Right.
dealing with their own fears and motivations.
Totally. Even the players we only see for a short time, you still get a sense of who they are,
Yeah.
what they're fighting for.
Exactly. Like think about that husband and wife who team up,
Oh, yeah.
or the elderly player who forms that bond with Gi-hun.
It's heartbreaking. But those relationships, even the fleeting ones, they add so much depth to the story.
They do, and those little moments, they stick with you.
They do.
They remind you that everyone in these games has a story,
Right.
a life outside of this horrific situation.
And those stories, those human connections, that's what makes the show so compelling. It's not just about the spectacle of the games. It's about the people caught in the middle.
Exactly. You find yourself rooting for them,
Oh, yeah.
even knowing that not everyone can make it out alive.
It makes the victories feel more earned, the losses more devastating.
And I think that speaks to the show's brilliance. It manages to balance those heart-pounding, intense game sequences with these moments of genuine human connection.
It keeps you on the edge of your seat, but also tugs at your heartstrings.
It does. And even though the show is so dark and violent,
Yeah,
it never loses sight of that core humanity.
it's true.
It's almost like a twisted social experiment, you know,
Totally.
forcing us to ask ourselves, what would I do in that situation?
Who would I become?
Right.
Big questions.
And those are the kind of questions that stay with you long after the credits roll. Squid Game isn't just entertainment, it's a reflection of ourselves
I like that.
and the choices we make when we're pushed to our limits.
So as we wrap up this deep dive into season 2,
Yeah.
I think it's safe to say it delivers on so many levels.
It does.
It expands on the world, dives deeper into those characters, and leaves us with even more questions about morality, survival, the human condition.
Big stuff.
Yeah.
And it does all of that while still being a thrilling, suspenseful show.
Right, just like season 1.
A hard balance to strike,
For sure.
but Squid Game pulls it off.
So to our listeners, we hope this deep dive has given you a better understanding of what makes season 2 so captivating. It's a wild ride, but it's one worth taking.
Absolutely. And as always, we encourage you to check out the sources, see what other people are saying, revisit the reviews, and let us know what you think.
You want to hear your perspective.
Thanks for joining us on this journey.
Until next time, keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep those brains engaged.